The exploration ship Helios 7 floated silently through the cold darkness near the edge of known space. Its engines hummed like a distant heartbeat, steady and calm. The crew had been traveling for months with no major discoveries. Most of them were bored, tired, and waiting for something, anything, to break the stillness. That something arrived on a quiet cycle when the ship detected a strange signal. It was faint, weak, almost lost in the background noise of space. But it was there, a repeating pulse, a distress message. Commander Ryan Holt, a man who trusted logic more than luck, stared at the screen with a frown. "This signal should not exist here," he said softly. "Helios 7 was far outside human territory. No ship should be here, no beacon, no living soul." But the signal kept calling. The crew turned Helios 7 toward the source. After an hour of careful approach, a small metallic object appeared on sensors. A drifting pod, barely alive, spinning slowly in space. The ship pulled the pod inside through the retrieval bay. Thick frost covered the metal walls. The lights were dead. The power was almost zero. Dr. Mira Solis, the chief scientist, wiped the frost from a small window and froze. "There's someone inside," she whispered. The crew gathered, stunned. Inside the pod, a young girl lay strapped into a military cryosleep harness. She looked no older than 12 or 13. Pale skin, black hair, calm face, almost peaceful. Commander Ryan checked the markings on the pod, but they made no sense. The symbols were not from any human fleet. Some looked alien. Some looked like combinations of languages no one had ever seen. "What is she?" a technician murmured. "A human?" another asked. "Or something made to look like one?" They transferred the pod to the medical bay. Dr. Myra's hands shook a little as she activated the warming cycle. "It's safe," she said. "Her vitals are weak, but stable. Cryofluid levels are normal. Whatever this pod is, it kept her alive for years." "How many years?" Ryan asked. Mira hesitated. "At least 50. The room went silent. A child, sleeping alone in space for half a century. And yet her body looked perfectly preserved, almost untouched by time. There were no scars, no injuries, no signs of aging. The pod hissed open, releasing a thin mist. The girl's fingers twitched. Her eyes moved under her eyelids. Slowly, painfully, she gasped for air and opened her eyes. Bright, sharp, silver-gray eyes. She sat up with surprising speed, her gaze scanning the room. Walls, lights, crew, everything. Not with fear, but calculation, as if she was measuring threat levels. Dr. Mira stepped forward gently. "It's all right," she said softly. "You're safe. You're on a human ship. Do you understand me?" The girl tilted her head. She blinked once, twice, then nodded slowly. Commander Ryan spoke next. "Can you tell us your name?" The girl looked at him, studying his face, then opened her mouth for the first time. "I don't know." Her voice was quiet, light, but steady. "You don't know your name?" Mira repeated, surprised. The girl shook her head. "I do not remember anything." Her eyes drifted to her own hands, turning them slowly, as if seeing them for the first time. Confusion crossed her face, but only for a moment. Then she became calm again. Too calm for a normal child waking up from decades of cryosleep. Ryan leaned closer. "What is the last thing you remember?" The girl closed her eyes. Her eyebrows tensed. "Cold," she whispered. "Dark. And a voice." "What voice?" Mira asked. The girl opened her eyes again. The voice said, "Wake only when the war begins again." Everyone in the room stiffened. "What war?" Ryan asked. The girl looked straight at him. "I don't know." But the voice said, "I was made for it." A chill spread through the room. Made, not trained, not raised. Made. Before anyone could ask more questions, alarms suddenly blared through the ship. "Warning. Unknown ship approaching." Red lights flashed. The crew rushed to battle stations. Ryan turned to the girl. "Do you know who is coming?" The child slowly slid her feet to the floor. She stood with perfect balance, almost too perfect, like her body remembered something she didn't. She looked toward the door, toward the source of the threat. Yes, she said quietly. They are looking for me. Myra's heart dropped. Are they dangerous? The girl didn't blink. Very. Another alarm screamed louder. Hostile lock detected. The crew panicked, but the girl remained still, calm like a soldier who had seen 100 battles. Ryan grabbed a comm. Shields up. Prepare for evasive. But before he could finish, the girl placed a hand on his arm. Do not run, she said softly. They will catch you. Ryan stared at her. How do you know that? She looked down at her small hands again. Her fingers curled into a fist. Steady, strong, unnatural. Because, she whispered, I was built to fight them. And as the ship shook from the first enemy blast, the crew realized something terrifying. This child was not an innocent survivor. She was a weapon waking up in a universe that had forgotten her. The enemy ship appeared on Helios 7's main screen like a black shadow sliding out of the darkness. It had no visible windows, no lights, no markings. It looked less like a ship and more like a silent blade made of metal and night. Commander Ryan stared at it with rising tension. That is no human design, he muttered. The bridge crew moved quickly, hands flying across panels. Shields at 60%. They hit us directly on the starboard side. We are being scanned. The ship trembled again as another blast struck its hull. Dr. Mira hurried the girl, still weak from cryosleep, to one of the support couches so she wouldn't fall. But the girl didn't even flinch. Her eyes were fixed on the enemy ship. They are testing your defenses, she said softly. Mira turned to her. How do you know all this? The girl blinked slowly. Because they always do, before they destroy. A cold shock spread through Myra's chest. This child spoke of destruction like someone who had seen it many times before. Ryan approached the girl. Listen, we need information. Who are they? Why are they after you? The girl thought for a moment, then shook her head. I do not remember their name, or my mission. But when I look at them, her eyes narrowed. My body remembers fear. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the screen changed. The enemy ship was charging something, energy building inside its dark core. Commander! A crew member shouted. They're preparing a high-energy beam. Impact in 20 seconds. Ryan grabbed the rail. Evasive maneuvers now. Helios 7 rolled hard to the left, engine screaming, but the enemy beam followed like a locked predator. Dr. Mira held the girl tightly. Stay down. The countdown ticked in the air like a death sentence. 10 seconds. 9, 8. The girl closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Something in her was waking up, something she did not understand. But her body did. 3 seconds. 2. In the final second, she opened her eyes. A strange silver glow shined in them. Duck! She whispered. The beam fired. A blinding white stream of energy shot toward Helios 7. Faster than thought. The crew braced for impact. And then something impossible happened. The beam missed. Not because the ship moved, but because the girl did something no one understood. She took one slow step forward and raised her hand toward the screen. At that exact moment, the beam curved, like space itself bent around the ship. Then it vanished into darkness. The entire bridge fell silent. The girl lowered her hand again. She looked confused, almost frightened of herself. I did not mean to do that, she whispered. Ryan stared at her. What did you do? I don't know, she said honestly. My body acts on its own. Before anyone could speak further, the enemy ship launched boarding pods, small, fast, spear-like vessels piercing through Helios 7's hull with loud metallic screams. They're inside the ship, a security officer yelled. Ryan didn't waste a second. Seal all corridors. Security teams, move. Dark, six-legged drones crawled out of the pods, thin metal limbs, glowing red eyes, and sharp plasma blades. They moved like spiders but struck like soldiers. The first drone sliced through a door and entered the lower deck. Screams echoed. Gunfire followed. The girl's head snapped toward the sound. "They will come for me," she said calmly. "They always come for the target first." Mira grabbed her wrist. "We have to hide you." "No," the girl said, shaking her head. "If I hide, more will die. They do not stop." Ryan knelt to her level. "You're a child," he said firmly. "You're not fighting anyone." But the girl's silver eyes locked on his. "I am not a child." Another explosion shook the ship. The lights went red. Security reports flashed across the screens. Multiple casualties. Deck 5 lost. Drones moving toward medical aisle. Primary shields failing. The girl stepped forward. "Let me help," she said. Ryan hesitated. Everything inside him refused to put a young girl into danger. But everything happening around him said she was not a normal girl. He exhaled slowly. "What do you need?" She looked at her hands again, studying them like they were new. "A weapon," she said simply. Mira stepped between them. "No, she's just woken up. She's unstable. You can't give her." But the girl looked directly at Mira, and her voice turned soft. "If I do nothing, they will kill you too." Mira fell silent. Ryan looked at the approaching red dots on the tactical display, drones nearing their position. He made a decision. He pulled a small plasma sidearm from his belt and held it out. The girl took it. The moment her fingers wrapped around the grip, the weapon hummed loudly, brighter than it ever had before. The energy core glowed silver, reacting to her touch. "Is that normal?" Mira whispered. "No," Ryan said quietly. "Not even close." The girl stepped toward the sealed bridge doors, her movements steady and precise. Too precise for someone who had barely stood minutes ago. Outside, the metal claws of drones scratched against the door. She looked over her shoulder at the crew. "Stay behind me." The doors exploded inward. The first drone lunged at her. And the girl moved, not like a child, not like a human, but like something designed for war. Her eyes flashed silver. And she attacked. The bridge doors burst open with a blast of sparks and twisted metal. Smoke filled the air as the first enemy drone crawled inside. Its thin legs clicking on the floor, red eyes glowing like burning coals. It moved fast. Too fast. A human would not have time to react. But the girl wasn't human. Before anyone on the bridge could even scream, she stepped forward. Her movements were smooth, sharp, and perfectly controlled, like she had trained 1,000 times before. The drone swung its plasma blade toward her head. She ducked under it with unnatural speed. Then she raised the plasma sidearm Ryan had given her and fired once. A single silver-charged blast hit the drone's core, cutting through its armor like it was nothing. The machine screeched, sparks flying, and collapsed in a smoking heap. Everyone on the bridge froze. She had done it faster than a trained soldier. Faster than a machine. But she didn't stop. 3 more drones crawled through the broken doorway. They saw her and immediately redirected their targeting systems. She didn't wait. The girl rushed forward with a speed that shocked even herself. Her feet barely touched the ground. She moved with fluid, silent precision, almost like she was floating. One drone swung at her legs. She flipped over it, twisting in the air, firing twice mid-spin. The drone fell apart. The second drone tried to stab her. She grabbed its blade arm and snapped it backward with a strength no child should have. The metal arm cracked like dry bone. The third drone leaped at her from behind. She whirled around and struck its head with the butt of the plasma gun, smashing the red eye. Then she jammed the gun into its chest and fired. Boom! The drone exploded in a shower of burning fragments. When the smoke cleared, the girl stood alone in the center of the bridge entrance. Her chest rose and fell slowly, not from fear, not from exhaustion, but from something deeper waking up inside her, something she didn't understand. The crew stared at her, stunned beyond words. Commander Ryan finally whispered, She just took down 4 drones by herself." Dr. Myra's hands shook. "That's not possible. Her muscles, her size. She shouldn't be able to do any of this." But the girl wasn't listening to them. She was staring at the broken machines on the floor. Something about them triggered a strange feeling in her head, like a memory trying to return. A battle, a mission, a voice telling her to wake when the war begins. More are coming, she said suddenly. Ryan snapped out of his shock. How do you know? Because they're never alone. Almost as if her words summoned them, the ship's alarms blared again. Multiple hostile units detected. Approaching deck 3, 4, and 6. The enemy wasn't stopping. They were swarming the entire ship. The intercom crackled. A terrified voice came through. This is Security Team Bravo. We are losing ground. These things, there are too many. We need backup now. An explosion boomed through the walls. The ship's lights flickered. Voices screamed in the distance. Ryan slammed a fist on the console. They'll tear the ship apart. Then he looked toward the girl, this strange child who fought with the strength of a weapon. Can you keep going? He asked her cautiously. She tilted her head, thinking. I don't know, she said softly. My mind is confused. But my body. Her hands tightened around the plasma gun. My body wants to fight. Dr. Mira stepped forward urgently. Ryan, she's unstable. Every time she fights, something inside her wakes up. What if she loses control? What if she becomes dangerous to us? The girl turned her silver eyes toward Mira. I do not want to harm you, she said with surprising gentleness. But if I do nothing, the drones will kill all of you. Mira hesitated, torn between fear and logic. Ryan made the call. All right, he said. We move together. We keep her protected. But we let her lead the fight. The girl nodded once. The bridge crew armed themselves quickly. Rifles, shock blades, pulse grenades. The girl didn't take anything except the single plasma sidearm. It hummed brightly, reacting to her touch again. They moved into the corridor. Smoke filled the halls. The lights flickered red. The metal floor shook with distant explosions. Sparks rained from damaged wires. Then they heard it, the clicking claws of drones moving through the ship. A whole swarm. The girl stepped forward without hesitation. A drone rounded the corner and saw them. It screeched. The entire swarm rushed forward like a wave of metal death. Ryan raised his gun, but the girl raised her hand first. She stepped ahead of the team. Her eyes glowed silver again. Then she whispered, "Stand behind me," and she charged. The crew watched in disbelief as she ran straight into the swarm, leaping, sliding, spinning, firing with perfect accuracy. Every shot from her weapon sliced through metal like it was paper. She moved faster than any drone could track. She dodged blades with inhuman reflexes. She destroyed machines twice her size with a single strike. But with every moment, something else was happening too. Her movements grew sharper. Her eyes glowed brighter. Her voice, when she shouted, sounded less like a child and more like a soldier remembering her training. She was waking up, piece by piece. And as the last drone fell burning at her feet, she stood still for a moment, breathing hard, head lowered, fists trembling. "What's happening to me?" she whispered. Then she heard something. A voice. Inside her mind. A voice she remembered from the pod. "Unit 01, your activation has begun." Her eyes widened in fear. Not fear of the drones. Fear of herself. The hallway was silent now. Only the burning pieces of destroyed drones lit the dark corridor with weak orange light. Smoke drifted through the air like gray mist. The girl, Unit 01, stood still, staring at her hands. They trembled slightly, almost like they were remembering movements she didn't command. Commander Ryan stepped toward her carefully. "You okay?" She didn't answer. Her eyes stayed fixed on her fingers, as if trying to understand why they felt too strong, too precise, too perfect. "I heard it again," she whispered. Mira moved closer. "What did you hear?" "A voice. Inside my mind." Her lips tightened. "It called me Unit 01. Ryan exchanged a heavy look with Mira. "That sounds like a designation," Mira said. "Not a name. Something given to machines or soldiers." The girl nodded slowly. "I think I was built in a lab. I think I was never meant to have a real name." She sounded distant, like she was repeating something she somehow knew but had not remembered. Ryan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Maybe you don't remember your name, he said, but that doesn't mean you never had one. The girl turned toward him. Then why does the voice call me Unit 01? Why does it tell me to activate? As if on cue, the ship suddenly shook again, hard. Boom! The lights flickered. Ryan grabbed a railing. What now? A voice came through the ship-wide comm system. Commander! More enemy ships dropping out of FTL. 3 no, for no 5. The crew froze. 5. This wasn't a small raid anymore. This was a retrieval operation. They want her back, Mira whispered. They won't stop until they have her, Ryan said. Or until she's dead. The girl looked down. I don't want to go with them, she said quietly. I feel wrong when I think of them, like they hurt me once. Or used me. Her voice cracked slightly. For the first time, she sounded like a child again. Mira knelt beside her. You're not going anywhere. We'll protect you. The girl shook her head. They're not here for me. She swallowed hard. They're here because of what I might become. The corridor went silent. Then she looked up with silver eyes. What if I turn into something dangerous? What if I hurt all of you? Ryan crouched to meet her gaze. If you were dangerous to us, you've had many chances already. But you didn't hurt anyone. You protected us. Her eyes lowered. What if that changes? Mira placed her hands on the girl's cheeks, gently lifting her face. Look at me. You are not a weapon. You are a person. And you get to decide who you become. The girl blinked, and a tear slipped down her cheek. I don't feel like a person, she said softly, but she didn't pull away. The data room. Ryan stood and straightened. We need answers. Real answers. He turned to the crew. We move to the data core. If her pod has anything stored in its system, the main computer can read it. The girl nodded. My pod, yes. There is a memory module inside it. Good, Ryan said. Let's go before the drones regroup. The journey to the data core was tense. Every corridor was scarred. Broken panels, scorch marks, melted metal where drones had cut through walls. The ship felt wounded, struggling to breathe. They finally reached the large circular chamber where the main computer lived. Blue light pulsed through thick cables like veins. Mira led the girl inside. Sit here, she said, guiding her toward an analysis platform. We'll connect your pod's memory module to the main network. The girl hesitated. What if it activates me again? Mira paused, then answered gently. If something triggers you, we'll shut it down. You're not alone this time. That seemed to calm her. Ryan inserted the strange memory core removed from the cryopod. The lights dimmed. The room hummed. The circular screens lit up around them. Memory file detected, the computer said. Encrypted. Unknown format. Attempting translation. The screens flickered. Symbols appeared strange, alien-like, but mixed with something human. Mira frowned. This isn't just alien tech. It's hybrid. Ryan muttered. What kind of group combines human DNA and alien engineering? The girl suddenly winced. Something is coming back. She clutched her head with both hands. Her knees buckled. Mira rushed to her. Hey, slow down. Breathe. The girl gasped as memories flashed like lightning. White rooms. Cold metal tables. Voices speaking numbers. Pain. Tests. Machines scanning her bones. Soldiers watching. A woman in a white coat saying, she learns faster than the others. Then a final memory. Shadows surrounding her. Machines screaming. And someone saying, Unit 01 is the prototype. The others will follow. Her eyes snapped open. There are more, she whispered. Myra's breath caught. More like you. The girl nodded, trembling. Unit 02. Unit 03. Unit 04. We were made for a war no one remembers. Ryan clenched his jaw. And those ships outside. They belong to the creators, the girl finished. They want their army back. Before anyone could respond, the computer blared a warning. Alert. Enemy boarding parties breaching Deck 2. Enemy target identified. Unit 01. They are coming. The girl stood slowly, silver light flickering in her eyes again. I won't go with them, she said. Ryan stepped beside her. You're with us now. Mira squeezed her hand. We're a team. For the first time, the girl smiled, tiny, unsure, but real. Then the ship shook violently. The enemy had arrived. And this time, they weren't sending drones. They were coming themselves. The entire ship shook as something heavy slammed into its hull, harder than any drone attack so far. Metal groaned. Sparks showered from the ceiling. The lights flickered to dim red. Commander Ryan steadied himself. That wasn't a drone. Myra's expression tightened. No. That was something much bigger. The girl, Unit 01, felt a cold shiver in her spine. Something inside her recognized the impact. A memory. A warning. They're here, she whispered. They're elite team. Ryan frowned. You mean soldiers? No, she said, shaking her head. Not soldiers. Something worse. Another impact shook the deck. Closer this time. The alarms blared. Warning. Breach on Deck 2. Multiple hostiles. High energy signatures detected. The girl's hands clenched trembling fists. Her eyes glowed faintly again. Silver light pulsing with fear and instinct. I know them, she said quietly. They trained me. Dr. Mira froze. You trained with them? Not trained, the girl whispered. Tested. Her heart pounded. She didn't want to remember, but her mind forced the fragments back anyway. Tall figures in black armor. Faces hidden by masks. Cold voices giving commands. Children like her running through obstacle mazes. Machines monitoring every move. Any mistake punished with pain. And one phrase, repeated over and over. The units must obey. The girl shook her head as if trying to push the memory away. Ryan stepped forward and cupped her shoulders. Look at me. You're not with them anymore. You hear me? Her breathing steadied a little. Mira moved beside her. And they won't take you. Not while we're alive. The girl stared at both of them, surprised. No one had ever said that to her before. But the moment was cut short. A deep metallic thud echoed through the hallway outside the data core. Thud, thud, thud. Heavy footsteps. Not drones. Not humans. Something else. Ryan signaled the crew behind him. Weapons up. The lights flickered again as the door to the data core began to glow. Heated from the other side. Metal softened. Melted. They're cutting through, Mira whispered. The girl stepped backward, fear tightening her chest. But something else rose inside her too. Instinct, programming, training. The same force that made her fight the drones. Her voice trembled. They want to deactivate me. Or take me back. Ryan's jaw hardened. They'll have to get through us first. No, she said quickly. You can't fight them. They're stronger. Faster. Are they like you? Mira asked. The girl shook her head. No, they're worse. They were built to control me if I ever escaped. The door finally burst open in an explosion of molten metal and smoke. The crew raised their weapons. Through the smoke, 3 tall figures stepped inside. They wore black full-body armor. Smooth, featureless, like shadows shaped into soldiers. Their helmets had no eyes, only a single thin red line across the front. Their movements were slow, controlled, powerful. Strike units. The girl's breath stopped. One of them spoke, voice cold and robotic. Directive: retrieve Unit 01. Terminate all non-essential life forms. Ryan whispered under his breath. Non-essential. That means us. The first strike unit raised a weapon, some kind of energy spear glowing with dark blue plasma. Stand behind me, the girl whispered to Ryan and Mira. Ryan shook his head. No, we do this together. But she pushed them back gently, surprisingly strong. No, if they hurt you, I won't be able to control myself. Her eyes flickered brighter, not just silver, shining. The strike units advanced. The first lunged at her with the spear. She dodged, barely. The spear slashed the floor, melting it instantly. The girl fired her plasma sidearm. The silver blast hit the strike unit, but it barely staggered. "They're too armored," Mira yelled. Unit 01 jumped back, heart racing. The second strike unit swung a heavy gauntlet at her head. She ducked and kicked off the wall, flipping backward. The strike unit caught her midair by the leg and slammed her into the floor. Pain shot through her body. Ryan shouted, "Get away from her!" The crew fired at the strike units, but their bullets bounced off the armor like weak sparks. "Your weapons are ineffective," the robotic voice said. "Stand down." The girl coughed and forced herself up. "No," she whispered. "I won't go back." She tried to fire again, but the strike unit ripped the plasma gun out of her hand. The third strike unit extended a needle-like device from its wrist. Crackled with blue sparks. "Reclaiming prototype." The girl froze, her muscles locked, her breath trembled. She remembered that needle. Pain. Machines rewiring her nervous system. The feeling of being trapped. She felt the instinct rising again. The same instinct that bent the drone beam. The same instinct that fueled her speed. The same instinct that frightened her. Her activation. The strike unit moved the needle toward her neck. Mira screamed, "No!" And then, the girl's eyes exploded with silver light. The walls shook. The strike units paused, sensors confused. The girl slowly rose, her body surrounded by a soft, glowing aura. Ryan whispered, "What is she doing?" The strike units backed up a step, the first sign of fear they had ever shown. The girl raised her hand. A wave of silver energy burst outward, knocking all three strike units off their feet and slamming them into the walls with a thunderous crash. The metal floor beneath her cracked. Her voice echoed strangely, layered with something inhuman. "I am not yours." The strike units attempted to rise, but their armor sparked violently, crippled. The girl collapsed to her knees, exhausted, the silver glow fading. Ryan and Mira rushed to her. She looked up weakly. "I didn't mean to do that," she whispered. "I can't control it." Ryan held her tightly. "It's okay. You saved us." But Mira looked at the smoking armored bodies with fear. "Ryan, if this is only her partial activation." Ryan swallowed hard. "Then what happens when she fully activates?" The girl trembled in their arms. And deep in the ship, alarms sounded again. More strike units detected. A full assault team is boarding. The real battle was just beginning. The lights flickered inside Helios 7 as the engines pushed the ship deeper into the unknown region. Damage alarms kept blinking, but the crew worked quickly to stabilize the systems. Yet the greatest problem on the ship was not the broken hull or the crushed corridor. It was the girl. The soldiers who had tried to capture her lay unconscious in the medbay, and the crew was beginning to fear her more than the attackers. Commander Ryan stood in the strategy room with Dr. Mira beside him. A hologram of the ship glowed in front of them, showing red zones where the hull had been weakened. "We cannot keep moving like this," Ryan said. His voice was rough, tired. "If another enemy ship finds us, we will not survive." Mira did not answer. She was staring at the medical scans taken from the girl. They showed strange signs, abnormal brain waves, enhanced muscle fibers, unknown implants near the spine. "She is not just enhanced," Mira whispered. "She is something else. Something we don't fully understand." Ryan turned to her. "You think she is a threat?" Mira hesitated. "I don't want to think that, but she could be. If she loses control, if something inside her activates." Ryan sighed. "We need answers, and she's the only one who can give them." At that moment, the door slid open. The girl stepped in quietly. She looked different now, stronger, more focused. She wore a simple ship uniform, sleeves rolled up, revealing faint glowing lines beneath her skin. Lines that Mira had not seen earlier. Ryan straightened. "We were just talking about you." "I know," she said softly. Her silver eyes drifted to the hologram. She stared at the blinking enemy signatures on the map. "They are still following," she said. Mira stepped closer. "How do you know that?" The girl touched her head lightly. I feel them. Their signals. Their patterns. Like echoes. Ryan frowned. Can you explain what they want from you? The girl lowered her gaze. To finish what they made me for. What exactly were you made for? Mira asked gently. The girl opened her mouth, but before she could speak, a sudden shockwave shook the entire ship. Ryan grabbed the table. What now? The alarm rang again. Warning. Internal energy surge detected. Myra's eyes widened. The surge is coming from... But she never finished the sentence, because the girl collapsed to her knees. Her body trembled violently. Her glowing lines brightened, spreading across her arms and neck like neon fire. Her breath became rapid, uncontrolled. Mira! Ryan shouted. What's happening to her? Mira rushed forward, but before she could touch the girl, the air around the child rippled with invisible force, pushing her back. A wave of energy burst from the girl's chest, silent but powerful, blowing papers off the tables and shutting down electronic screens around the room. The ship went dark for one terrible second. Then the emergency lights came on. The girl lifted her head slowly. Her silver eyes were brighter than before, almost metallic. Her voice sounded layered, like two voices speaking at once. They have found me. Ryan pulled Mira behind him. Found you? How? We blocked all our transmissions. The girl shook her head. I am a beacon. A beacon, Mira whispered. The girl nodded. When they created me, they placed a tracker deep inside my core. A living signal. They know my position. Always. Ryan felt his heart drop. Then we've been broadcasting your location since the moment we opened your pod. She nodded again. I am sorry. Before Ryan could respond, the intercom crackled. Bridge to Commander Ryan. We have 3 unknown ships on approach. Fast. Ryan's worst fear had come true. They're here. The girl stood up shakily. Her energy flow calmed, the glowing lines dimming. She looked at Ryan with a strange sadness. You must leave me behind. Mira stepped forward. No, absolutely not. You don't understand, the girl said softly. They will destroy you to get to me. Ryan clenched his jaw. We're not abandoning you. You should. The girl's face softened. I do not want people to die because of me. Mira placed a hand on her shoulder, ignoring the faint energy still radiating from her. You said you don't remember your name, she said gently. But remember this, whatever they made you for, you are not a machine. You are not an object. You are a child. And children are not left behind. The girl's eyes trembled for the first time. A small crack on her emotionless mask. She whispered, Thank you. But the moment ended abruptly as the ship walls shook again from a heavy blast. Ryan grabbed his comm. All stations. Battle positions. Brace for contact. The girl stepped toward the bridge. Ryan grabbed her arm. Where are you going? To end this, she said. How? You don't have any weapons. The girl turned her silver eyes to him. I am the weapon. She walked out without waiting for permission. Ryan exchanged a worried look with Mira. Should we stop her? Mira whispered. Ryan shook his head. No. If she can save this ship, we have no other choice. They ran after her, the hallway shaking with every new enemy hit. The girl moved with calm focus, as if she knew exactly what she needed to do. As she approached the front of the ship, her glowing lines began to brighten again. She whispered one chilling sentence. They want their creation back, but I will not go with them. And she stepped toward the airlock control panel with a determined expression. Whatever she planned to do next would change the battle completely. The hallway leading to the main airlock shook as the girl reached it. Warning lights pulsed red across the walls, and the ship groaned under the pressure of enemy fire. But she kept walking calm, steady, as if the chaos did not touch her. Commander Ryan and Dr. Mira ran behind her, struggling to keep balance as another blast rattled the floor. Stop! Ryan shouted. You can't open that airlock. It'll kill you. The girl paused at the control panel but didn't turn around. They won't stop, she said quietly. Not until they take me. Mira stepped forward, voice trembling. We can hide you. We can shield your signal. We can find a way. No, the girl interrupted. You don't understand what they are. She finally turned toward them. Her silver-gray eyes held a pain that no child should carry. She touched her own chest lightly where the glowing lines pulsed. They created me to fight the war they started. They made many soldiers like me, but most of them did not survive training. I was one of the few who lived. The last one, maybe. Ryan inhaled sharply. You were a test subject. A weapon, she corrected. The perfect one. The ship shook again, harder. Ryan slammed his hand on the wall to stay upright. We don't have time for this, he said. If we lose the shields. The intercom crackled. Bridge to commander. Shields at 10%. We can't take another hit. Ryan cursed under his breath. The girl looked at the airlock. They are coming for me. They will board your ship. If that happens, more people will die. Mira grabbed the girl's shoulders. Then we fight. Together. You don't have to do this alone. The girl stared at Myra's hands. Gentle hands, human hands. So different from the cold machines and scientists who had shaped her. Something in her expression softened. I don't want you to die because of me, she whispered. A moment passed. Then another blast slammed into the hull, throwing all three to the floor. Alarms screamed. Mira looked up with wide eyes. Shields are gone. Ryan's face turned pale. They're preparing to board. The girl stood up slowly. Her glowing lines brightened again. Brighter than they had ever been. Ryan noticed it first. What's happening to you? The girl exhaled deeply. The part of me they tried to control is waking up. Her voice sounded stronger. A strange wind began to circle around her body, pulling tiny particles of dust upward. Ryan instinctively stepped back. Is that safe? No, she answered honestly. For them, maybe not. For you, I don't know. She turned to the airlock controls. I can stop them, she said. But you must trust me. Myra's voice broke. Trust you to do what? To open the door. Ryan's eyes widened. And get sucked into space? The girl shook her head. I won't be sucked out. How do you know? Mira demanded. Because I was made for vacuum combat, she said quietly. No air. No gravity. No limits. Ryan stared at her in disbelief. You're telling me you can fight them? Outside the ship? Yes. Before they could argue further, the ship jolted violently. A loud, metallic bang echoed through the corridor. Ryan froze. That's the boarding clamp. The enemy was attaching to the ship. The girl placed her hand on the airlock panel. Bright light surged through her glowing lines. The panel recognized the energy and unlocked. Ryan stepped forward desperately. Wait, if you go out there. She looked back at him and Mira. I don't remember my name, she said softly, or my past, but I know this. I choose my future, not them. Myra's voice cracked. You're just a child. The girl shook her head. No, I am something else. But you made me feel like a child. Even for a moment. Thank you. Ryan clenched his fists helplessly. Please don't do this alone. The girl looked at him with a faint, sad smile. I was born alone. But I won't die. A harsh mechanical hiss filled the hall. The enemy boarding door was cutting through the ship's outer hull. She turned toward the sealed airlock window. Through the tiny glass circle, stars glimmered like a silent audience. I will protect you, she whispered. Then she hit the emergency release. A deep metallic clang echoed. The airlock door slid open. Wind exploded outward as the pressure dropped. Papers and tools flew toward the opening. Ryan grabbed Mira and pinned her to the wall, holding onto a safety bar with his other hand. The girl stepped into the airlock chamber. Her hair lifted in the pulling wind. Her glowing lines flared like living lightning. She didn't look scared. She looked free. She glanced back at Ryan and Mira one last time. Close the inner door, she said. Ryan shook his head violently. No, but she smiled soft, calm, determined. It's my turn to fight. And then, the outer door opened. The girl launched herself into space like a comet of silver light. Ryan slammed his hand onto the emergency control, closing the inner door before the vacuum could tear the corridor apart. Silence fell. Mira stared in shock. She really went out there. Ryan looked through the tiny window. Out in the dark, 3 massive enemy ships were approaching, and a single small figure, glowing, fearless, was heading straight toward them. The real battle was about to begin.